Hi everyone, welcome to the last chapter of Angular-Meteor tutorial. This chapter is all about migrating your Angular 1 app to Angular 2 using Socially as an example. It is based on the official upgrading guide on Angular.io website. It includes switching from JavaScript to TypeScript. First of all, we have to remove JS compiler, which in our case is pbastowski Angular Bubble. At this point, we could use Barbatus TypeScript package that compiles TypeScript into JavaScript, but since we're migrating and part of Socially Stirs requires ng-annotate, we have to fix it somehow. We recommend you to use mys TypeScript-ng-annotate. It is based on Barbatus TypeScript, so when you will be fully ready to use only a TypeScript compiler, there won't be any issues. Great, we can move to more interesting part. At first, let's take care of our client-side entry point, which is client/main.js file, and rename it to client-main.ts. We also have to change the way we import Angular. About components, we can just import the default object and use the name property. We can now move to the Socially component and transform it to use TypeScript. TS extension, default imports, now components, we also have to update dependencies. And the way we import HTML files. Okay, let's change the extension of all of the JavaScript files to .ts using free comments. You can find them inside the Socially helpers repository. I linked it in the description. Client-side files. Server files. And the imports. You can see now, every JS file has now TypeScript extension. Now we have to start the refactoring process. Let's change in all of our files the way we import Angular and Angular-Meteor. We can do this at once by replacing import Angular with the proper statement. Now let's look for the rest of statements that are using the default object. I used regular expression to do this quickly. It's also inside the Socially helpers repo, and yes, it's linked below. We can now take care of underscore package. By changing the import statements properly. And back again to find another imports to be updated. Let's do the same thing we did with template inside Socially component, but for all of them. Now the UI router. There are still few templates that should be imported correctly. Let's take care of web templates. Now let's take care of mobile templates. Okay, and another module that's import statement should be changed. 2 more HTML imports. ng file upload. Now let's take care of import statements of components. All of them are inside the directory called imports. Replace import bracket name as with just import. We replaced the first part of imported variables. Now let's move to the second part. Now look for the files that are importing components or filters. It looks like we finished. Now let's install all of the needed packages to run our app with Angular 2. Since we have installed ng upgrade, let's now create a module that exports an instance of the upgrade adapter. Now we can bootstrap our main component, which is socially, using bootstrap method of upgrade adapter. We also have to import reflect metadata and Sound.js. Let's now take care of filters. At first, we will create the display name pipe basing on display name filter. We will multiply this file, rename it properly. Instead of importing Angular, we will import pipe decorator from Angular core. We will also change the name of this pipe. Instead of using function, we will use transfer method of a class named displayNamePipe with the same body as displayNameFilter function. We also have to remove Angular1 module and use pipe decorator on top of the displayNamePipe class. And don't forget to export it. Now we have to repeat those steps, but with uninvited filter. One extra thing to do is to replace first return statement that returns false with an empty array. Now let's turn party uninvited ng1 component to be a functional ng2 component. We will use component decorator from Angular core. With the proper template and selector. Now let's import pipes instead of filters. And add these pipes to the component. We can now remove the filters from Angular 1 module. Let's replace Angular-Meteor API of ng1 with Angular 2 Meteor API. We have to import Meteor component, then extend the party uninvited class by it. We have to call the constructor of the parent class, remove all of the injectables and ng inject statement. Put the helpers inside the auto-run method. Now we can import upgrade adapter to downgrade ng2 component into ng1. We have to replace component with directive method. In place of components definition, we will use upgrade adapters downgrade ng2 component method with party uninvited as the argument. Now we can take care of bindings. We need to import input decorator from Angular core. We had one-way binding, so let's add one. Let's remove party details prefix from the template. Also remove filter suffix from all of the pipes. We can now switch from ng-repeat to the ng-for directive. Do the same with ng-if and ng-click. Since we have Angular 1 and Angular 2 working side by side, we also have to change the binding attribute to be a one-way binding. Let's do the same we did with party uninvited, but now with the party details. We also want to import directives. We can use the party uninvited component, but not party map yet. This is because party map is a ng1 component. So let's upgrade it using upgrade ng1 component method of the upgrade adapter. We can now switch to the new API of Angular-Meteor. Repeat the steps we did with the previous component, which is the party uninvited. Let's define the properties of the party details class. We can now remove the party uninvited from dependencies. We have to leave the party map component since it's an upgraded component and still inside the ng1 scope. Since we cannot inject the $sign state params service into ng2 component, we have to create a mid layer, which in our case is some controller. Let's call it party details route. Okay, now we have the party ID property. Let's use it as a one-way bind to the party details component. We still need to set the bindings. Beside the input, we also need an output decorator because we are exposing one property to another component. Since we no longer use the party uninvited component inside ng1 scope, we can remove all of the code related to the Angular one. Instead of exporting the ng1 module, we can just export the component. Okay, we learned how to use ng-upgrade. Now we can talk about material design. Let's install all of the needed packages of Angular 2 material. Great. Let's import the empty button. And add it to the directives. Do the same with MD checkbox and MD input. Replace all of the current material 1 directives. You can find all of the details about how to use Angular 2 material, which is still in the alpha version, under the link I put in the description of this video. Let's show the contents of this component only if the party is available. Change binding to ng to syntax. And that's it, you have now Angular 1 working side by side with Angular 2. We did amazing stuff thanks to the upgrade adapter. Good luck in the Angular 2 world, it was a nice journey.